up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Kaged Review. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, and we are finally finished with all the video reactions for E3. I got a lot of videos from trailers themselves to my reactions. And now we are finally getting into the closing thoughts. I've already done a review for EA. EA was my first introduction into E3 as far as watching an entire panel. And I'll be honest, I've said in that post that I thought that E3 had really dropped the ball. Post everything that I've seen now at the end of E3, I realized that they really were a bad production. They were a terrible presentation, very uninspired. They were going through the motions. It was very business. You didn't get anybody excited for anything. So that to me was the worst. And I'm going to move right on to the best, which I think was Sony. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Sony guy. I am a Sony guy, but here's why I think Sony was the best presentation. When it comes to E3, the whole idea is introducing people to games they're going to get interested in, to give them something to get interested in. And Sony excelled at that. Not only was their presentation very good, but they started before E3 ever showed up. They had like 4 or 5 trailers drop before they ever did their conference at E3. And then you have the big 4. The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, and the 4th one, Ghost of Tsushima. That's what it was. All 4 of these had a very extended, in-depth look into the game, the visuals, the gameplay, the mechanics and how it works. And I thought it was a very, very good conference for them. Now, there was complaints because they started with The Last of Us 2 and they had the guy playing the banjo and they had the area they were at set up to recreate one of the scenes in the game. And then they had a brief intermission where they had to take everybody from that scene into wherever they did the rest of their conference. And that didn't throw me off too much. Like, for some people, it just, I don't know, it threw them off way too much, I guess. But I thought it was cool that it had this area that was recreated exactly like something in the game, and then you see the game and you're like, oh shit. You know, so I thought it was cool. And I liked the introduction with the guy with the pipe for Ghost of Tsushima. And then they had the little segments in between where it was supposed to be, you know, funny musicians, animated musicians. So none of that really bothered me. But when you get down to the brass tacks of it all, they really brought it home for the big 4. The games that they were pushing for this coming year, they nailed it. Especially, I think, with Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, and The Last of Us 2. Death Stranding just leaves me a lot of question marks. Honestly, the second extended trailer kind of left me with more questions than the first extended trailer. So, which is cool. I mean, there's a mystery behind it, but you don't really know what's going on yet with it. Overall, I felt like Sony, in my opinion, not everybody's, won E3. I think Microsoft did an amazing job. I think they were very good. But I think when it came down to actually presenting their games, Sony still took it. And honestly, as far as number of games that looked amazing, again, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, Days Gone, Control looked pretty cool. So there was a lot of stuff there. Oh, and the Resident Evil, can't forget that. The big surprise, Resident Evil 2 remake. That was very, very cool. Some people were expecting it, some people had no idea it was coming. And even the people that were kind of guessing, they didn't know for sure. So when it popped up, it was a good moment. So overall, I feel like Sony took this. I think they just did an amazing job. I was incredibly impressed with their presentation. The musician thing, there were a couple of guys that really didn't like, you know, like the banjo player in the first part. I thought it was cool because you instantly knew it was The Last of Us. Like, you knew what the song was if you played the game. And you knew what was coming, so it was like building the suspense. It's like, okay, well, they're finally showing The Last of Us. And so I did like how that happened. So overall, very impressed. As far as my first E3, I thought this was a good one. They had a lot of very good games that came out. And I just feel like this one, for the amount of amazing looking games that they showed, Sony has it, man. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwoods. Kaged Nation out.